All right, it's Tuesday. We've got big shoulder day. So we've got wave loading with our push press. If you were here yesterday, for the deadlift, we did our 10-8-6, 10-8-6 again, same that we did last week. But now we're trying to wave load heavier, and then not only that second wave be heavier than the first wave, but this week to be heavier than last week. On our push press, we want to make sure that we're staying upright in our dip, and that we're actually using the explosiveness from that dip to help power the bar. So what I mean by that, and what I see a lot in class, is where we either do too much of a dip, and we kind of stand up slow and then strict press it, or we tend to come forward, and we're not really using the power of that dip to help get that bar up vertically. So I want you to focus on using that. What can help on that is if you actually will push the knees out a little bit. Even if my toes are pretty much facing forward, I can push my knees out over the line of my pinky toe. What you'll see is if we can do that, where the knees go out on the dip, we're actually engaging the butt and the glutes. And then as we dip, you see my butt goes back a little bit. So as I now come up, I'm gonna power up with the hips and the knees to get the bar up. What I see a lot of times in class is if I have the bar here, my knees come forward, right? Or here, then all of a sudden I don't have any of this hip moving, and all I'm doing is kind of extending the knees and trying to power up. So we want to make sure we're getting those glutes involved, where we can push the knees out and then actually use that power. Okay, you can feel it even if you just have your hands on your shoulders and you dip and you power up. Do you feel like you're bouncing up, or do you feel like you're kind of going slow and then trying to strict press? So try to make that transfer of force from the lower body to the upper body today on your push press. 10, 8, and 6. You can also work on the cycling here. So as I go dip and drive overhead, as this bar comes back down, punching the elbows forward. Right when I get to the shoulders, I can go into my next dip. 10, 8, and 6. Okay? In the workout, still a lot of shoulders. We have 13-minute AMRAP. Our goal is going to be to get probably 4-ish, maybe 5 rounds, because we're going to look to get about 2.5 minutes per round is going to be our max. But this is going to be a little bit different because we have strict press built in with a lot of different shoulder movements. So we're going to start with 20 slam balls. Same thing we were talking about with hips, powering up the push press. It's also going to help power up the slam ball. So as I go to grab that ball, start with the ball in between the toes. You don't want to get it too far in front. I actually will power up through the hips to help me get that ball overhead and then slam. Keep that ball close there too. 20's a lot, but pace yourself on that. You'll start with those shoulders there. You'll then go to 15 up downs, making sure we're keeping a good plank position on those. 10 strict press. This is where it's going to get tricky, and you got to pick the right weight. A lot of times it's hard for us to know exactly what that strict press weight's going to be, and that movement can wear out as well. But if you pick the right one, you should be able to get through 10. We're going to fight to keep this unbroken. But what I want to see is if you get to a point with your strict press where all of a sudden we're having to really just fight, we're starting to arch and do that, then we probably need to come down a little bit in our weight. What I do want to see is when you start, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the quads, and push that bar overhead without arching the back, trying to get through our 10. Okay? You already did up downs, but you're going to do strict press, and then you're going to do burpees. So you're going to see a lot of shoulders here. And in between that strict press, you're going to be out of breath. The slam balls, up downs, and burpees are really going to take your breath away and challenge you to stay nice and tight and core brace during that strict press. So really the key to this one is figuring out your pacing on those 3, and then picking the right weight for your strict press where you're not doing anything funny and leaning or wanting to dip. If you're wanting to dip on the strict press, it's definitely too heavy. So pick the right weight for that one too. Okay, so big shoulder day on Tuesday. Have fun. We'll see you then.